My stepfather stole my inheritance and my mother just let him.
Daddy, no!
For background, my mom, Jen, 50 female, and my stepdad, Brian, 56 male, have been together since I was 11. Well, I say that, but 11 is the age I became aware of their relationship, as she asked if we would be okay with him moving into the family home. Prior to this, she never mentioned dating anyone, and we had never spent any time with Brian. None of our other immediate relatives ever mentioned him to us either. By the way, this comes from user ExcellentFee3010. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. As OP says, the day Jen asked us, my sister Ruth, 26 female, was sat next to me and asked to be excused to her bedroom. My other brother Tom, 23 male, was not home to have any input. I was stuck by myself with Jen, who did not seem to understand how she completely blindsided us. She had no interest in answering my question about why she had not told us. Her only interest was knowing if we accepted this stranger moving in. Brian moved in the following week. After Brian moved in, there were several times where both he and Jen threatened to move away without me, Tom, and Ruth. They would say, if you don't like it, we'll get a new house and start over. Threatening just child abandonment? Okay. This threat could be in relation to something like Brian telling me I shouldn't be anywhere in the house except for my bedroom and me standing up for myself. I used to get called stupid by Brian a lot. If I did something he didn't like, such as finishing my homework before going to dinner, he would say, only someone this stupid wouldn't think to eat first. Hey, Brian, that's stupid. Any grievance I had with Brian was never acknowledged by Jen. If I raised an issue with her, she would deflect and change the subject. Brian caused a lot of problems knowing that there were no consequences for him. Brian never concealed the fact that he wanted Jen and only Jen. We were just the baggage that he only had to put up with for so many more years. Tom, Ruth, and I were no longer taken on family holidays. The last one we got to go on was when I was my godmother's bridesmaid at a destination wedding. I was 10. Jen and Brian would go on 3 holidays a year without us. Living under that roof was the loneliest I had ever felt. The second I became of age, I bought my first apartment and moved out. No more Brian, no more Jen. Tom and Ruth wanted to come with me, but Jen wouldn't allow it, and honestly, I don't know how I was supposed to fight for them. I was working long shifts, sometimes nights. Though Ruth was a year younger than me, Tom was not. I doubt a court would appoint a fresh 18-year-old as their guardian with Jen in the picture, which is fair. That's probably accurate. One thing I did leave in Jen's care was my valuable book collection. I won't disclose exactly how much it's worth, but it's in the 7-figure range. You have $1 million book collection at 18?
Wait, what? How do you, where, just, I imagine, like, the SpongeBob episode with, like, when Gary is, like, the librarian with the full library. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking just, like, shelves. You know, like a little shelf in the corner, like, oh yeah, there's my $1 million books. Like, this is like a room dedicated. It has to be.
Let's get into this here. Some of these books were my inheritance. I was always told that they are to be looked after, never to be played with, and have to be stored correctly. I couldn't do that in my apartment, so Jen continued to keep them for me. I had no reason to distrust her with them. Earlier today, I called Tom as I was traveling home from seeing a friend. Tom mentioned that he had gone to Jen's house to collect some things. Because he was there, I asked Tom to find out if Jen had managed to get the remainder of my books authenticated. She and I had spoken about doing so a few weeks prior. Tom asked Brian about my books, and then Brian laughed and said, "What books? My books?" Tom said, "No, her books that you've been looking after." Brian then repeated, "My books." So this is when you go get your books.
My books.
You gotta go get your books right now. Go get them.
Go get your books, girl.
I was listening to this through Tom's headphones, so I told him to get Brian to clarify. No, there's no need to clarify. He said they're his books. Go get your books.
It's true.
Tom asked Brian what he meant by his books. Brian said, "They're ours now. We bought them." My heart sank the moment I heard him say that. Jen was not home. I tried calling her, no answer. Eventually, she called me back a couple of hours later, but not before Brian called me a pathetic liar, spoke ill of Ruth, and claimed her books, which she had in fact sold years ago, while still insisting mine were also his property. To confirm, I never sold anyone a single book. They did not buy me any books. All the books in my collection are to be sold at a future date or passed down to my children. Brian and Jen never gave me a single penny. Jen was unwilling to confront him about it. I am not allowing them to steal part of my children's inheritance. Jen agreed that she never bought my books, but Brian refuses to give them back to me. I told Jen that her inadequacy as a parent, failure to reprimand Brian over the years, and her lack of love for her own children has meant this moment was a long time coming. I say something along the lines of, you neglected me. You allowed him to take my happiness away for years. You let him walk all over me. I will not let you steal from my children. If this is how it has to be, I will take you to the cleaners. I will report you both for theft. I will sue you for everything I can. I will cut you out of my life again. You mean nothing to me. I need to know if I was out of line for what I said to Jen. I was very emotional at the time. There is an update. I think you're 18, you're certified crash out. Brian's telling you, hey, I'm stealing your $1 million books. They're mine. And your mom is like, I just don't want to say anything. It's, I would say everyone sucks because Brian sucks. Your mom sucks for not defending you against Brian. And it's like, I think from the sounds of it sounds like your mom's in a bad situation with Brian as well. That has just progressed to a point where she can't stand up for herself. She's in a toxic relationship with him. Can't break out of it. So it's unfortunate that you were mad at her, but it's fair because she did. She for the whole upbringing, let this guy walk all over you. So your feelings are justified. It's not that everyone sucks. It's just that the situation sucks all around and Brian is the worst.
Yeah, and I feel like if anything, you could probably just go and get the book. Unless they are locking you out of the house or something, and are like, no, it's our property, la 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 la. But
I wouldn't be surprised if Brian didn't work and just stayed at home all day anyway,
and just watched over those books.
Yeah, he's like, why do I need to work? We've got $1 million book collection.
I am the keeper of the books. I do not work. My only job is to protect the books.
Yeah, my only job is to protect the books and also yell at you, and not like you or your kids. Let's see this update. I hope you steal your books back. It's been a little over 2 weeks, but it has felt like an eternity. I'll start off by saying there's good news and bad news.
Uh-oh.
The good news is I got my books back.
Yeah!
Yes! All of them, unscathed. They are physically in my possession and will remain in my care indefinitely. The bad news is I did not take Jen and Brian to the cleaners. Ultimately, my goal was to get my books back, no matter the route I had to take to do so. After speaking with Tom, I had already contacted my lawyer to set things in motion. They advised that they would contact Jen and Brian as a matter of urgency. Not long after speaking with me, Jen contacted Ruth to try and convince her to get me to speak with her. It was only going to be her attempt to get me to back down. I do not bluff. She knows this. Ruth said she hoped I would follow through with things and then ended the call. Jen tried to call back, but Ruth ignored her. Then it was Tom's turn. Jen was still in agreement that my books were mine, but Brian was not having any of it, and Jen was not putting him in his place. Tom said he agreed with what I was doing. I was told that Brian was shouting obscenities about me in the background, things like ungrateful witch. Tom told me they deserved it, and so much more. My lawyer contacted them on my behalf 2 days later. All contact with me was to go through the firm from then on. According to Jen, she told Brian that he needed to stop trying to claim my books. If he was intent on keeping them, he needed to make me an offer of their current value plus 30%, but if I said no, it meant no. Brian was still adamant. He didn't need to offer me anything because the books already belonged to them, and he didn't think I would win a legal battle, despite Jen confirming I had everything that guaranteed they would lose. Well, because Brian's a dummy boy. A couple more days later, my lawyer said Jen reached out to them on her own and said she wanted me to retrieve all of my books. I had already made them aware that Brian was an issue because of his presence at the family home, but she assured them that he would be gone for the whole day. Some days ago, I arranged for suitable transportation for the books to my house. When I got to the family home, Brian's car was not in the garage or front patio, which they always are whenever he's home, so I proceeded into the house. I know he would have tried to provoke me, even though I'm not a violent person, because he wants to have a way to make me squirm. I walked right past Jen and went to where my books were. Brian has never been granted access by Jen, so they were perfectly secure, and I loaded them all into the van. It took a while. Brian won't notice they're gone because he's never been able to get into that room, and Jen probably won't say anything. Even if she does, neither of them knows my address. Jen was talking to me throughout, trying to get me to sit with her and speak like adults. She was saying cliche things like she regrets how she treated me and blah, 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 blah. If she had said all of this years ago, maybe I would have listened, but even now, I had to retrieve my own possessions in secret because she couldn't stand up for me as she should have. Words are empty. And by the way, I know what's not empty, and it's the archive with full episodes with stories like this one on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, just search OK Storytime. We have a little bit more story left. Yeah, I think that OP's assessment is fair. Like, it's just words. It's a little too late. I needed you to show me with actions that you would, value your children over Brian.
I agree. I think I think you did the right thing, as in, like, I'm going to get my stuff and I'm going to go. And I think, honestly, it's a good idea that you didn't give them, like, your address. Like, they don't know where you live and stuff, which kind of stinks because obviously you want to, like, share that. But, like, if it's a thing in your life, you don't want them, like, bringing that into your space, then that's going to be all chaotic and it's just not going to work. So I think you did the right thing of getting your stuff and leaving it at that. I know, like, your mom probably feels really bad. Jen probably feels very, like, upset about the whole thing, but, like, as Dakota said, like, it's actions over words. Like, it's not like she still hasn't shown. Like, she'll say, I regret this and I'm sorry and I feel this way. Like, okay, cool, but, like, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, honestly, I think the only thing that could happen at this point would be she'd have to leave him. She'd have to leave him and, like, never look back and, like, completely cut every trace of him out of her life. And that would be, like, the first step that you could take to atone for letting this guy kind of run roughshod over your whole family.
Yeah.
Like your children.
Yeah, literally came in and, like, changed the whole dynamic and was like, that's just how it is.
And that doesn't fix it. That's just step one.
Yeah.
That opens the door to being able to fix things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Let's finish this story. Yeah. I did not say a word the entire time. My lawyer said everything that needed to be said, including that as long as Jen and Brian do not try to falsely claim my books, the matter was resolved once they were returned to my custody. Once I finished loading everything, I returned my keys to the family home. Jen tried to convince me to keep them, but I have no intent of returning there. The truth is, that place stopped being the family home the day Brian moved in. I have zero happy memories of it. My old room makes me sad to think about because it's a constant reminder that it was the only place I was permitted to be. Even writing this hurts. I needed my parent to look out for me. She failed in all other aspects apart from these books. I wish Jen had loved me like a parent should, but yes, I have my books back. That is a good outcome. And that's the end of that story. Opie, I would heavily suggest therapy. And, you're not wrong for how you feel, but if you're able to somehow mend fences and, like, come to reconnect with your mother, it would probably bring you a lot more peace in the long run than staying disconnected from her forever would.
I wanted to reconcile with my father, and it made my sister furious.
Sisters before misters. There's a trigger warning here for mentions of possible abuse towards the end of the story. Keep that in mind.
So I, 23 female, was recently reached out to by my father, who I haven't seen or spoken to in about 10 plus years. For some background, my sibling, let's call them Jane, 23 female, and I are 6 months and 1 day apart, very specific. Needless to say, my dad cheated on my mom with her mom. Jane and I had pretty much the same experiences with him, despite a few differences. By the way, this comes from Outrageous Limit 608, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to OK Storytime subreddit. I am Savannah.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give some advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do in this situation, so let us know what you do in the comments. As OP says, there were custody visits initially when I was younger, and my dad wasn't a great dad by any means. We would stay with him for a weekend once in a blue moon. And when we were around 10 or 11, there ended up being a complete cut of contact. He was flaky, didn't follow up, and was just straight up immature. Other than that, I tried to repair the relationship in early high school, and he ended up canceling plans. After that, I didn't try to reach out again. We would occasionally see him at family gatherings on his mother's side, but aside from that, I didn't speak to him or have contact. The relationship between Jane and me has almost always been good, despite not talking for long periods when we were younger. In high school, Jane reached out to me and we reconnected. There was family drama between her mother and me, which led to us being caught in the middle, resulting in a temporary disconnect. We eventually reconnected, and since high school, we've been pretty close. So a lot of disconnect, reconnect, we don't like each other, now we do, and family drama is all in winding and weaving and bleh.
Lots of volatility here.
Yeah. As time went on, and we've both reached adulthood, we've grown apart a little, as expected. I live about an hour away, and Jane was attending college 2 hours away until a year and a half ago. I even went to visit her and stayed a time or two. We always had good times and made time to talk to each other no matter what. Recently, however, things felt like they were slowly shifting. Jane and I weren't talking as much. We would occasionally text or call to catch up. We weren't on bad terms, just not as close as we once were. We tried to call each other or set up plans to hang out, but they never ended up set in stone. This wasn't either of our faults. Adult life can get busy. True. It wasn't like either of us was purposely trying to avoid the other. Sometimes plans just don't happen. About a month ago, I got an unexpected text from my father. He messaged me saying he wanted to reconnect. Initially, I didn't think I wanted to respond, but I screenshotted it and sent a text to Jane. She immediately told me not to respond to him. I saw this as her trying to protect me in a way, and I understood because she has her own feelings about him. I thought about it for a few days and eventually responded to him. Which I never thought I would do. Growing up without a consistent father figure was difficult, and I have a lot of unresolved anger and emotions towards him. Makes sense. Luckily, my uncle stepped in as a father figure, but still an absent father is an absent father. I'm not exactly sure what made me respond to him. It wasn't out of spite towards Jane or anyone else. At this point in my life, I want to try and get closure for the things I can and move on.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you know exactly why you reached back out to him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that kind of answered it. I'm not in contact with my mother, and I've dealt with a lot of hardships and trauma growing up. Making closure for yourself is a long and painful journey, as if being in your 20s isn't already confusing enough. I mean, yeah,
Preach!
yeah, like seems like you got a good head on your shoulder, OP. You're dealing with it as it comes and kind of just like going with the flow. I think, yeah. I responded to him, and we talked for a while and even met up for coffee. We had a long talk, and he cried, pouring his heart out to me about the past and how he's messed up, etc. Things between my father and me are actually going really well so far. We've met up twice more since then, and each time feels less awkward, talking about a lot of things that matter to me. I've been clear from the start that I'm not immediately forgiving him or absolving him of accountability. I still have a lot of anger toward him and unanswered questions. I don't know exactly how to move forward, so we've been talking here and there. He's been open and honest with me as far as I can tell. I wasn't going into this with a lot of hope. He has let me down time and time again in the past. Slowly, I have begun hoping because from the talks we've had, it does seem to have changed. I met his girlfriend and her kids. Whoa, big step.
Okay.
Big step. And he has told me he's going to therapy and is really trying to fix the mistakes he's made. He seems different from what I remember in a good way, and the talks have helped me. Maybe that's just the inner child in me, the little girl who wants her father, but that's what I've observed. Again, this is not me saying I've forgiven him or forgotten what he's done. I am the one setting the pace at which we talk and see each other, taking baby steps. If he ever messes up like he did in the past or makes me feel like this is going nowhere, I have no problem severing the connection. If something doesn't add value to my life, I'm not going to be a part of it. I agree. I think that, you're kind of taking it at your pace, which I think is good. Don't let him change that. And kind of just, yeah, I think you're doing good.
OP is clearly cooking up a storm right now.
OP's cooking. Let her cook. Let her cook. Uh-oh. Now comes the problem. Yikes.
Ah, dang it. We stopped cooking.
Ah. Simmer it.
Turn down the heat.
Jane messaged me a few days after I had met my dad for coffee. After her initial reaction to me showing her that my dad had reached out, I wasn't really wanting to upset her by telling her I was reconnecting. I waited a bit to see how things were before telling her. I wasn't purposely leaving her out, but Jane has a tendency to be overly negative and make things about her. I didn't want to deal with that when I was already processing my feelings about the situation. She messaged me and went off, saying how I was hurting her and how I could make plans with him while avoiding her. She continued by saying I had blown her off numerous times in the past and it wasn't fair that I was giving him time when I wasn't giving her any. I told her that texting and calling is a two-way street because I have also reached out to her in the past and it didn't lead to anything. Adult life can be busy and sometimes things are pushed aside. We've both done it, and I've never felt upset with her because I know she's my sister and she's not doing it intentionally. She's talked to me through hard times and vice versa. Then what really shocked me was that she accused him of being creepy and even called him a predator.
Whoa!
That's
Okay.
big statement.
We are now in completely different territory now.
Yeah. Now I'm,
Now it is like, okay, now maybe we're in completely different reasons as to why Jane does not want anyone reconnecting with the father.
Yeah. Because originally it was just like, he's not a good guy, he kind of sucks. And then now she's like, he's creepy.
We're in very serious waters now.
Yes. You thought she was cooking, she's cooking. The heat is on, it's burning.
Yeah.
This surprised me because before this, she had never told me once. We had talked about our dad numerous times in the past, and I was never told about this. I personally have never felt that way about him, but I would never invalidate her feelings or call her a liar because I would never victim blame. Good, OP. I am honestly confused. Every time I message my dad, I feel guilty, and I wonder if I'm really messing up by reconnecting with him. I'm truly confused and shocked and don't know if I'm in the wrong. What she's accusing him of is a huge deal, and I don't want to invalidate that. I don't think it's possible she's told me before, and I don't remember. This is something I would definitely remember. By the way, you can definitely remember to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but let's discuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Tricky.
So I think whenever this kind of situation comes up where it's kind of like insinuated or, we're not sure exactly what OP's sister said, but it needs to be like, all right, we need to get to the bottom of exactly what it is you're talking about here. Like what happened? What happened or what did you see or what was done? Like what needs to be done here?
Yeah. And also I'm like kind of concerned because I would think like in situations like this, it would be the other way. Well, I guess no, it's both their dad, different mom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
yeah. Well, it could be that it's like she's the product of an affair or whatever. I don't know. Psychologically, there's like a trillion different things that could be going down. But I think, and I'm not like victim blaming or victim shaming or victim denying or anything. But it's like sometimes if people, I don't know anything about OP's sister, but people, if they're really flippant and don't understand what consequences are, can say something like this about somebody just as like this will get that person to stop.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I don't want my sister having anything to do with him. So I'm just going to say this.
Yeah.
Because then no one will want anything to do with him. And it's like, well, you can't just say something like that.
Yeah. Because that's also a very serious accusation that could lead to like legal things.
Yeah. So I think now that's why it's just information gathering process. Again, I'm not saying anyone is lying. I'm just saying that it's something that has happened before.
Yeah.
So it's like it needs to be investigated because that's what, it's a trickle, that'll happen sometimes. It could very well be true.
Yeah.
And it's just like a thing that's like just coming out like right now, like, bah. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, can you, can we dig into that a little bit? What exactly is going on here?
Yeah. I want to know. I want Jane and OP to define creepy, because is he creepy with them?
Yeah.
Or is he creepy with like other women?
It just needs to be. We need We need to investigate.
I need
to
more.
gather info. Let's finish this story.
Comment number 1. I have an affair sibling that's about the same age gap to me as between you and your sister. She will always have her own thoughts and feelings towards your dad, and if what she's saying is true, which it could be, sometimes a like this target only one child, and she may not have been able to or willing to talk about it before now as he was out of your lives. It will push her away from you. She will see you as aligning with your dad and choosing him over her. I'm not saying it's right, but that is how she will feel, especially if he didn't reach out to her, which, if what she is saying is true, he most likely wouldn't. But even if it isn't true, that will also hurt, because why you and not her? I'm sorry to say, but you have a choice here. Either believe her and side with her or choose your dad. I do not think you will be able to have both in your life. Oh, that's hard. And OP responds, I appreciate your honesty a lot. I'm a complete idiot and forgot to mention that he had actually made an attempt to reconnect with her a year previous. Oh, refer to the bottom portion of the post. Which is actually really relevant to the conversation. I am actually going to see her this weekend at a family gathering and was planning pulling her to the side and having a one-on-one. I am just not sure what to say to her. I don't want it to seem like I'm invalidating her because I do believe her over anything at the end of the day. Thank you for your advice. If it did come down to that decision without hesitation, I would choose her. I just don't know everything and I don't really know how to approach her about this. There's also a reply. I can't answer on what she says is true or not. I don't know her, nor am I in the business or to not believe a victim until proven otherwise. But reality is that she has her own thoughts about him, and if she feels strongly enough about them, you can lose her due to not aligning with her views. Doesn't mean it's fair, but things are rarely fair in situations like this. Your dad was a crappy dad to you both. He can't erase that. Just try and make amends. And if your sister is, that's okay too. But the possibility is there that you will lose her, especially if what she's saying is true, because no person can or should forgive someone for siding with their abuse. I would have to agree with that.
Yes. Info gathering. Yes.
Yeah. And actually, that is the end of that story.
My stepfather treats me like a stranger in front of the whole family.
What? But you're part of the family, girl.
I am 21, and I have 2 younger half-sisters who are 14 and 9. We share the same mom, but have 2 separate dads. Me and my stepdad have always had a strained relationship. By the way, this comes from user SpiritualCrest1447, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give you good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. As OP says, when I first met him, he treated me like an actual daughter and would include me in family events and spend time with me one-on-one. However, when my sisters were born, this all changed. He'd stopped spending time with me and even stopped letting me join in on family activities, saying stuff like, "You're too old for this. And why don't you go spend some alone time in your room?" At first, it was just these sorts of things, but as I grew older, he started reacting weirder and weirder to me being alone with my sisters. Obviously, I know there's a bit of an age gap between me and them, but I try my hardest to spend time with them and partake in their interests. I'd play video games with the older one and make slime and do crafts with the younger one. However, if my stepdad found out I was alone in a room with my sister, he'd get mad. He'd yell at me and force me to leave, which just always confused me because I wasn't doing anything wrong, and my sisters wanted to spend time with me. He genuinely made me feel like a creep. As I reached my late teens, I started to offer to babysit my sisters if my parents ever needed me to, but my stepdad would always flat out refuse. He would literally take my sisters all the way to my grandparents' house 2 hours away every time they had a date night, despite me always being home. Once, while my stepdad was away on a work trip, my mom got me to babysit my sisters while she ran some errands, but told me not to tell him or he'd go mad. What does this come from? Where is this coming from?
Yeah, I want to know what his problem is. What does he have against you? Just because you're older? Like, you're all siblings. I don't get it.
Is it like because you're not his daughter? I don't know. Because it's like he didn't he wasn't involved in your creation, in your procreation?
Yeah, that always rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't know. Why does that matter? You're still a part of his life, and you are still technically, like, a child, let alone his child, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Eventually, I moved out when I turned 20, which means I see my family less and less. But whenever I go back, I still try to spend time with my sisters, and he still gets upset. I hit my limit about a week ago when I went to visit. I was sat in my 14-year-old sister's bedroom having just genuine, normal girl talk. Nothing weird, just about makeup. When my stepdad walked in and told me how inappropriate it was that I was in there. I finally snapped and told them that I was just as related to my sisters as he is and had every right to spend time with my family. He got upset with this and left the house, and my mom is telling me I was a bit rude with my approach. Honestly, I don't know if I'm in the wrong and I shouldn't be trying to be close with my sisters, or if my stepdad is just insane. Am I the a-hole? And we have a quick edit. To answer a common question, me and my stepdad used to argue a lot about normal teenager stuff. Never physical or in front of the kids. The whole family knows about these arguments and have agreed I'm not an unstable person. And I just wanted to also say thank you so much to everyone who's taken the time to give me support and kind words of advice. I will definitely be digging into things further and try and figure out what the issue is. I do want to assure everyone, though, that my sisters are safe. I know a lot of people have mentioned potential abuse, and while I will be keeping an eye out for it, I think my stepdad's issue is more about me and less about them. We have some comments, but before that, Savannah, what are we thinking?
I think that he's dramatic for no reason. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he's just, like, he obviously has, like, an issue, but he's blaming it on something else. I feel. I don't know, my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're kind of right. It does feel like it's more about you and less about your sisters. It's more about you being othered by your stepdad, where it's like, no, like, you can't be alone with them, or like they literally wouldn't even let you babysit them. Like, that's crazy that they would always go 2 hours out of their way so that you couldn't babysit your own half-sisters?
Yeah, is there something you're not telling us? Because maybe did you, like, wrong these children in some way?
No, it's like OP had, like, a poltergeist, like, possession incident when they were younger and, like, levitated in the living room.
And doesn't remember
And does not remember.
It's like, that never even happened. Why do you keep saying?
You can't let her watch the children. She's a conduit for the unknown.
Is that what happened, OP?
I'm sorry if that's the case. Comment, everyone, not overreacting. Your stepdad's acting weird and your mom isn't helping the situation. She should have stood up for you instead of enabling this behavior. You deserve much better treatment. OP says, thank you. Honestly, I wish she would stand up for me too, considering I stand up for her all the time. But she's got that I'm the child, they're the adult mentality. A reply says, why on earth would he treat an outsider like that? I mean, someone he had never met before, I can understand, but he knows you. Are you not straight? Do you have any other beliefs he wouldn't agree with? Because I could at least understand where his mind was going, but I still think it's effed up if you were a guy. The only other possible reason I can think of, although this really does not track with how young you were when he started this behavior, is maybe he thinks you're going to be some sort of bad influence and talk to him about bad stuff or substances or drinking or some crap like that. If he's hyper religious and you are not, this could be the root of it. But driving them for 2 hours rather than letting you babysit? Whatever his idea is, it's probably completely warped. But if he's going to act so weird about it, he should be giving you an explanation. And if your mother is allowing him to act like this without any explanation, she's just as bad. Comment 2 says, that's horrible, but you need to stop talking to your stepdad and start talking to your mother. Tell her you want to have a relationship with your younger sisters. Arrange to spend time with them when your stepdad is not around. Tell your mom to go to bat for you to spend time with them, and then take them out for fun things. If your stepdad refuses and your mom goes along with him, she shouldn't, but she might. There isn't much you can do about the 9-year-old until she gets older. Grit your teeth, go to your mom and stepdad's place a few times a year, and be a fun person to this 9-year-old to hang out with. But a 14-year-old probably already has her own cell phone, email account, and social media. You can talk to her via those methods and keep the communication going. Just tell her not to put stuff about you on her public socials, since her dad probably monitors that. Good luck. Your stepdad is being an absolute a-hole. Assuming that is that you don't have a whole host of issues or something and forgot to mention it, I'm guessing that's probably not it. Your mother should be advocating with her husband for you to have a relationship with your sisters. If she's conflict averse, she may not do that, but she should. Do your best to spend time with them, but limit your exposure to your stepdad for your own mental health. He hates you for whatever reason. And there is a small update. Yeah.
I just don't understand, like, what, like, it's either, OP, you're not telling us something that happened, and it's like, I don't know why he's acting this way. Or, like, maybe it does. I completely forgot, like, religious beliefs or anything, like, like LGBTQ related or something, that he's just not into.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it could even be like people who get that, people who are hyper conservative about that kind of stuff can even get to the point where it's like, oh, you have tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you shouldn't be around the kids.
Yeah.
It's like you like punk rock, you shouldn't be around the kids.
Or even like political views.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
something like that.
Small update. After reading all your guys' advice, I have decided to try to have a conversation with my mother and also talk to the older sister to see if I can get any answers. I also wanted to give a bit more of an insight into my family's history to give you guys and myself more context about why my stepdad might be behaving this way. So my parents split when I was 6, and my mom and stepdad got together when I was 7. I believe the relationship was definitely rushed because my first sister was conceived about 8 weeks into the relationship. My mother's family were definitely not supportive of this, which caused them to pull out of our lives around the time my mother was pregnant with my second sister. I don't know why I didn't mention this before, since to me this could potentially be a big part of why my stepdad treats me differently. I also wanted to mention that my mom and stepdad aren't married. This is due to some technical issues with my mother's divorce with my bio dad, which, by the way, you can have 0 technical issues when you go listen to full episodes with stories like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you've got the whole freaking archive at the tips of your fingers. But we only have the tail end of a story left to tell here. Yeah, it's looking like your stepdad's going to see you as the op because you're connected to the family that doesn't support or approve of his relationship with your mom.
Yeah, I think it stemmed from that. That makes a little bit more sense, but still I feel like, that's not your fault in a way.
No, of course not.
Like, you didn't tell them to like they chose that. They did that to themselves, but the fact that he's going to turn and blame it on you just because he can't deal with it or something, like, that's not, none of that is your fault. You were very young and that was their choice to make. So please don't blame yourself, OP.
Yeah, please. The children are innocent. Now let's finish this story.
Okay.
I've mentioned this in a few comments, but wanted to put it here as well. But I also come from a slightly different cultural background to the rest of my family. Both my mom and stepdad are completely white British, but my bio dad and his family were Romani, travelers. I personally only found this out about 2 years ago. For some reason, my mother just never thought to tell me. And growing up, I did get a few questionable comments from stepdad about stereotypes linked to that. Oh, so we've got the good old-fashioned stepdad race.
Ooh, no.
Boo. Boo. Lastly, I do have an older half-brother who's 33 from my bio dad, who did walk out of my life with my bio dad. I only mention this because I wonder if stepdad thinks I'll do something similar to my sisters, which I would never do. And that is the end of that story. I doubt he's thinking that deep. I think he's just taking his own feelings into account, and he just doesn't like you. You're not his child. And that's how at least that's how he views you, which is crazy.